Hey guys, it's Ollie, and I'm making a highly requested tutorial today, and that's making AI in your game. And this is kind of basic AI that, and it will just sort of be, it will choose a random direction to move in, and then it will move that direction, and it will wait a bit, and then move a different direction. And you can add your own code afterwards for if your player collides with them or something or whatever like that. So first things first, grab this source code off the TheJavaHub. This is just a basic setup of a game, we all know. Actually, I'm going to change the screen size because it won't fit in my recorder. I'll change that to 600, or actually 400 and 300. There we go. And this, I can control this with my arrow keys, and then we'll be making a blue square which does its random movement and such. So we're going to create a new class inside our existing package called AI, and then, or it doesn't have to be called AI, call it whatever you want. And then in this AI class we're going to make our AI. So let's implement runnable first of all. Implements runnable, and this may go over 2 tutorials, I'm not sure. I'll bring up my recorder so I can keep track of time. Anyways, the first thing we want to do in our AI is declare a rectangle object, and this rectangle object is going to be our AI, and it doesn't have to be a rectangle. I'm just using it for the purpose of this tutorial, and this rectangle is called AI. And then in the first thing we do in our constructor is give it the parameter rectangle r, and then we say AI equals r. And this means when we create a new instance of our AI object, we can pass the rectangle in our instance over here. It's going to be this object over here which we've created, and that's going to be our AI. So that's why we do that. And then we will just straight away make our draw method to implement later on. This is going to take graphics as usual, G, and then we will say set g.set color, and we'll make this color.blue. And then we're going to draw the rectangle, but we first want to check, because we haven't initialized it here, in case any little slip-ups happen, we want to make sure our rectangle is not equal to null, otherwise there'll be some null pointer exceptions. So we say if AI is not equal to null, then we can happily draw it. So fill rectangle, and then we say AI.x, AI.y, AI.width, and AI.height, and these all refer to the rectangle object which is here. So now we need to do 3 things. I'm just going to add little comments in here. We need to make a method. These are all methods we're going to be making. We need to choose a random direction. We need to be able to move in that direction. And then in our run method, move in that direction and then wait. So we're going to be moving. Actually, I'll show you what's the problem here. We need to implement our run method. I'll do that here. Public void run, and we'll add our override annotation. So I'll show you what it's going to look like when we finished. So this is me controlling it, it's not an AI, but it's going to look like this. It's going to choose a random direction, and it's going to move a bit, and then wait. And then it's going to move a different direction, and then wait. And then it's going to move another direction, wait, and so on. You get the idea. So that's basically what it's going to do. I might make the screen size a bit bigger actually, because otherwise I'm afraid the random direction may move it off the screen, and you guys can program to handle that yourselves, because we've done that in previous tutorials. But anyways, the first thing we do in our choosing our random direction is we make the method. So public, and we need to return an integer. So return type is int, not void, and we're going to call it choose random direction. Simple enough, and it doesn't take any parameters. So the reason it's red is because we're missing a return statement, so we'll be doing that later. So random r, and we'll import our random object, and you'll see why we need our random object in a second. You can probably guess, since we're choosing a random direction. And then we need to make an array containing 3 entries, and these entries are going to be 0, -1, and 1. and that corresponds to 0 being staying still, -1 being moving negative along that axis, and 1 being moving positive along that axis. So integer array called rand directions is equal to a new integer array with 3 entries, and the reason we do it like this instead of just initializing it with the spiky brackets is because for sure we only need 3, and we don't want to enter another one by accident somewhere, because then it would not make our program run as intended. So rand directions 0 equals 0, and it's also to just better visually display it to you guys. So I'll explain what I'm doing in just a second. Rand directions 2 equals -1. So we have 3 entries in this array, and those are 0 for stationary, 1 for positive along that axis, and -1 for negative along that axis. And Control Z that. Oops. There we go. And then once we've got this random direction here, we want to make an integer called rand choice, and that equals r, which was our random object, dot next int. And we're going to say 3 to generate 3 different possibilities, and those possibilities will be 0, 1, and 2 by default. So then we return, this is our return value, we return rand directions, which is our array with rand choice, with a random choice. So again, we've made our random object because we need a random number. We've made an array called random directions, which has 0, 1, and -1. And then we make an integer called random choice, which is equal to either 0, 1, or 2. And then we select a random choice from that array using this here, and then we return it. So that is that method done, and let me check my time. Okay, that's good. So we need to now make a couple of move methods, and these are the standard moving methods. We're going to say public void set x direction, and it's going to take an integer called direction, and then x direction. Oh, that's right. We need to make, first of all, our integer x direction and y direction, and this is going to be the movement of the rectangle. So x direction equals dir, and then we can copy this straight over and just change this to y. There we go. So we have our set x direction and set y direction methods, and later on we're going to be calling this method here inside the set x direction method, and that will choose our random direction. So maybe that will make more sense if that was confusing to you. And now we need to make just our public void move, and we say ai, which is our rectangle object, dot x, plus equals the x direction, or I should say is the sum of the x direction. So ai dot y, sum of the y direction, and that is just going to make it move. That's standard stuff. And now here's where the complicated part comes in. Check my time. Yeah, we can just about get this in. So stick with me, guys. Don't navigate away from this video. I'm gonna show you the final bits now. So in our run method, we have our try and catch as usual. Catch, and we catch an exception ex and system error print line. Oh, if I can spell print right. Print line ex dot get message, and I don't plan on messing up, but this is just good housekeeping. And then we put our while true to make it constantly run. And before I forget, in main I'm going to create this thread here. So thread ai equals, actually I won't call it that, I'll call it t1 equals new thread, and then we're going to say t1 dot start, and we need to pass in an object ai here, which we will create now. It's going to be a static instance because we're calling it inside our main method. It's just going to be a static instance of our AI class called AI, and it equals a new AI. And as a parameter, we take that rectangle, remember? And in our case, it's object, which is this. And now I'll just draw it quickly. AI.draw, pass the graphics in, and if I run this now, we can see we have our